At an estimated annual rate of 3.5%, the growth of African cities is one of the highest in the world. It is projected that half the population of sub-Saharan Africa will be living in cities by the year 2030. Currently in Kenya, this demand translates to 150,000 housing units per year. Over 60% of the materials for this construction boom will be sourced from the environment. The environmental impact of this cannot be ignored. What changes can we make now to guarantee a more sustainable construction industry? Amid Kayole Quarry, one of the many unregulated quarries in the country, even after being abandoned over 10 years ago, stone mining and crushing happens here on a daily basis, endangering lives and impacting the environment. Welcome to Project Green. I'm Esther. This is one of the many stone quarries feeding the growing need for building materials for the country's growing construction industry.
Hapa waliokuwa wako hapa ndani, it is illegal. Unaweza kuona watu wakikimbia kwa sababu gani? Hii ni mali ya serikali.
The mine was operated by 2 construction firms in the early 90s before being officially declared closed in 1997. Dunston lost a relative here who, like him, was crushing stone for sale to earn his keep.
Kimugasa ilikuwa saa 4. Hata nilikuwa nimetoka hapo after 5 minutes ndio mawe yenyewe kateremka kutoka juu. Na alikuwa pisi ameangalia upande hiyo na aoni huko anagonga. Sasa wakati ya sauti ya mawe iliteremka, sasa aliamuka akajaribu kuhepa, moja ikamtekua hivi kutoka huko chini kampeleka kwa maji.
Unaona pale ni zaidi ya futi 100 kukuja chini hapa. Hapa imepoteza watu wengi, si mtu mmoja. Watu wamekufa wengi katika sehemu hii.
Ilikuwa last year, wakati tulikuwa tunagonga, wakati wa mvua. Ndio hapo kuliporomoka. Kukawa na rafiki yetu mmoja mwenye alikuwa anatutolea mawe. Alikuwa amekaa hapo. Sasa hiyo mawe wakati iliporomoka, ikaingia naye mpaka kwa maji. Ikabidi tuchange, tutafute mtu wa kuja kumtoa ndani. Ndio akamtoa, tukapeleka mortuary.
Several lives have been claimed in this quarry, which is said to be more than 300 feet deep and about 200 feet wide. Not far from here, I meet a mother whose son went for a swim at the quarry one hot afternoon. That was the last she ever saw of him.
Mimi nilikuwa nimeamka asubuhi, nikatayarisha practice, tukakuna na mtoto wangu vizuri. Mtoto wangu ila alinimaliza, akanijua amemaliza, akimaliza yeye anatengeneza nyumba. Siku hiyo maji kukua, akaniuliza, "Mama, maji ya nyumba tunatoa wapi?" Nikamwambia, "Enda kwa jirani hapo uombe uchote kwa kisima." Mtoto alinichotea maji, akaosha nyumba, akatengeneza nyumba vizuri. Ila alirudi, mimi nikaingia kwa nyumba nikichukua vitu zangu, mtoto amepangusa nyumba iko smart. Mimi nikachukulia nachukua, nikarudi nje, nikamuita akakuja. Nikamtuma nyanya huko juu na vitunguu, akaniletea. Kuniletea hizo vitu, akaniwekea hapa, akakaa hapo kwa mawe. Yeye ilifika masaa 8, nikatafuta mtoto sikumuona. Nikashinda amekuwa ameenda wapi, nikafikia atakuja. Akatakaa sikuona mtoto. Ilikuwa saa 11, ndio niliitwa mtoto ameanguka kware. Nikiletea viatu na manguo. Nikakimbia hapo, kaambia si kware. Nikakimbia ile nyingine, nikapata mtoto amezama kwa maji. Huyo tunja alikuwa mtoto wangu mkubwa. Na pia nilipitia kisu, lakini yeye alikuwa amekuwa mkubwa. Sasa alikufia kwa maji huyo. Alikuwa anaenda 8, sasa itamwa alikuwa 8. Kwa mimi hata sitaki kuiona, hata ningefunikwa tu.
For the Kayole Quarry, I'm aware of it, and it was one of pilot project. Actually, we had wanted to do a joint rehabilitation, looking at the site of that quarry. But as I started mentioning, we have quite a number of government departments involved. And rehabilitating such deep quarries, it's also a lot of resources.
In Kenya, an environmental impact assessment is mandatory before the mining of any aggregate. An annual audit should also be conducted to ensure that a quarry meets the required social safety and environmental standards. Unfortunately, the Kayole Quarry story is one that is replicated many times over in various other parts of the country. According to the National Environmental Management Authority, only 2% of stone mines in the country meet the required standards or even conduct the required annual audits.
So when we are licensing quarry operations, we normally give them conditions and say, once you start quarrying, as you quarry, every time you finish a pit, before you open another phase, you have to rehabilitate or restore the former quarry.
Na hii wanachimba wanapeleka wapi sasa?
Wanapeleka huko kwa barabara huko bypass.
Na wale watu wanakuja kusurvey hii area vile kama hao wanema wanawaambia haya hii ni sawa ichimbwe ama
wanema walikuwa wanakujanga kitambo. Siku hizi hawakujani.
During quarrying, the topsoil and subsoil are removed, with the fertile red volcanic soils being used in landscaping or leveling of construction sites. Not only does this disrupt the area's ecological balance, but also renders fertile or prime agricultural land useless.
As you can see, now this being a very fertile land, those guys over there, they are trying to create another quarry. Since this one, they can never produce what they want. As you can see, they are producing hard crushed ballasts,
yes,
which will be later felled elsewhere. But as you can see now, the land is becoming useless. It's no longer of any use to either to them or to the surrounding community.
Once they finish with the ballast, that's it.
Once they finish with the ballast, as you can see, there is a very big heap of red soil, of which it's the one that should be for agricultural purposes. Now they are excavating, extracting the rocks beneath, then they will just leave it the way it is.
And this is obviously private land, isn't it?
It's obviously private land. I don't think there could be any license for such extraction of rocks.
Even those ones that are operating on their own land, they'll still require an environmental impact assessment license, and they'll adhere to all the conditions given.
Not far from here is the Rungiri Quarry, which is about 200 feet deep and about 300 feet wide. It was abandoned over 10 years ago and now lays as a dam, an obvious breeding ground for mosquitoes and a major safety hazard. Efforts to restrict access to the abandoned quarry have been rendered useless as the fence has been vandalized. Mnadu nini hapa? Hapa amuogopi? Amuogopi?
Si ni kuangalia.
Na mtu kama akiteleza aingie hapo.
Twende huko, si huwa tunaangalia hapa.
This is a very big resource for this place.
Very big.
And it's not
very,
being
very
used.
Big. Those dry quarries can be rehabilitated. We can maybe look for ways of making, let's say, greenhouses. We can connect this water to those areas and have, let's say, vegetable, other horticultural products for our towns.
The owner of the farm, they normally have a lease agreement, which is normally attached to our application, if at all there is any application. So that if in the leasehold, the few that I've seen, there's normally that clause that the owner, the operator, will do the rehabilitation.
In about an hour's round in Baraniki in Kikuyu County, I managed to count about 10 active quarries, none of which have any NEMA certification. What are the laws governing artisanal mining in Kenya? And are they being enforced? Let's join Dan as he discusses this further on Green Talk.
Thank you, Esther. Well, today, to try and help us tackle this complicated issue, we have Dr. Musingi, a senior lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and Josephat Shikokoti, an artisanal miner. Gentlemen, welcome to Green Talk. Dr. Musingi, is there anything that is regulating artisanal miners?
The Mining Act, which has been so much discussed, it has a lot of weaknesses. If you look at it throughout, you find there are so many major issues which are left out. For example, there are no issues of environment, really, in the whole thing. So basically, and although they have tried to revise the Mining Act, really, because we have a revision done in 2012, which is recently. But if you look at the whole thing, it's still quite much lacking.
Josephat here is in the mining industry.
Yes.
Josephat, maybe you can explain to me, what does working in Kayole Quarry mean to you and your family?
As far as I'm concerned, this quarry thing is just a sort of daily basis. So people are doing a very hard job, and less, just like that. If this current government could at least create jobs like they used to say before, then I think this job could be stopped.
How many years have you been working at the quarry?
It's about 11 years. Just take for a basic life. You look for your daily bread, maybe. Kind of on time now. You'll find that you put your ballast there, you stay there for about 3 to 4 weeks before selling. You don't earn, we earn nothing.
All right. Yeah, so Josephat is an artisanal miner. So what about the safety of people like Josephat?
The Environmental Management and Coordination Act, the so-called EMCA, if it was well implemented by NEMA or NEMA, it can still cover these guys, because really, you are supposed to do environmental impact assessments in every mining, before mining, and if you have already started, you're supposed to do an annual audit. And that annual audit should cover issues of safety, issues of health, occupational health, So essentially the law is there.
Is there anything that can help protect people like Josephat?
I believe a miner needs to have a license. It needs to be recognized by law, isn't it? So yeah, you can see there is an issue, because if you're just going to the quarry, you're doing mining, you have no license, there are no institutions that cover you, there is no regulatory framework that covers you, really. So you can see that one is one issue. But then the authorities need to make sure that these issues are well regulated.
Let's talk about people who have the resources, the big mining companies. And more importantly, after they have left the site and the quarry is left open, it's left unsafe and it's left unclaimed.
Once you are done with the mining, you're supposed to rehabilitate the place. At least to a level of a ratio of 2 to 1. Of how you found it. So that is what is supposed to be done. That is according to EMCA, Environmental Management and Coordination Act.
The big companies that mine in these areas and do it in the open quarries and leave them abandoned, there's a lot of financial gain. And how do we ensure that this financial gain trickles down to the communities living around the mining sites?
I think it's the issue of what is called sustainable mining. Sustainable mining requires that mining involves stakeholders. It involves people who are affected by the mining. But so far we don't have policy on sustainable mining.
What do you think about the assertion that there is no such thing as a no-risk mining project?
Almost every activity anyway has some risk, but mining has a lot of risk, really. The issue is how do we mitigate them to make it, to reduce the risk. I think that should be the issue.
All right, gentlemen. I think we'll end it there. Thank you very much for being on Green Talk.
Yeah.
After the break, we see a mining company that is actually walking the talk. Halapak Mombasa are our green heroes this week. Find out more about them after this.
This place is where Bamburi Cement started excavating, and this started back in 1954, and it continued up to 1971. Around that time, the company was made to stop mining, simply because in some places, they had gone as deep as cutting the water table. Now, when this area was left open, it became very hostile, with so many hostile conditions. Yeah, a good example, the temperature had gone up as 40-45 degrees Celsius. Now, as a company, we thought we could not move ahead with this business. We needed to create a healthy and a safe environment to allow our continuity. So, 71, the company started this rehabilitation program, and it was actually led by Dr. Reni Hala, who was already working for the company as an environmental director. To visit Halapak, you can see them, the giant land tortoises, one for Aldabra seashells. We have units for crocodiles. Yeah, there's an area where we practice fish farming. It's an attraction on its own, but also one can buy fish and take home for food. We have our hippopotamus. Currently we have 3. We have 2 older ones, Sally and Potty. There's Owen, a young hippo of around 10 years now. We also have antelope of various species. We have waterbacks. We have elands, we have oryx, we have bushbucks, we have the smaller ones, daikals, dik-diks, and sunnis. We also have a zebra, we have buffaloes. Halapak have actually managed to attract over 160,000 people annually. And these are of different categories with a big number of the locals. Yeah, possibly receive around nearly less than 30 of the foreigners. Yeah. Now the locals, well, we have families visiting, but the big number again is on our education programs, all the way from the kindergarten up to the university. We are transforming all our quarries of Bamburi into natural coastal forest. These are actually the African mahogany or Excellencia milicia. Already this area we've colonized with the indigenous species, as many as 50 species occurring here today. Yeah. Now here, we've introduced the mangroves here to help offload or help eradicate the high concentrated waste from the fish farm and from the crocodiles and along these tunnels. So when the water passes here, all these nutrients actually get absorbed, and eventually this water goes back to the fish as clean and clear water. The company was first honored by UNEP, and we won the 500 World Global Award in Environmental Management Responsibility. Any industry doing its business which will have a negative impact on the environment, that company is actually commissioned to rectify that environment. Now, us here already as a successful model, we'll actually not I, but I will ask. Here, we always moving, and we can actually work in collaboration with planetary, so that now we can have this practice being transformed somewhere, so that we continue making our country, beloved country Kenya, continue becoming better and better for the future generation.
The issue of mining, it definitely has an impact on the environment in terms of noise, in terms of dust. After some time, when we have exhausted the mineral, which is the quarry stone in this particular case, what do we do with that big hole that has been left? If you go down to Bamburi, that is in Mombasa, they used to have the quarry where they would extract the raw materials for cement. And when that particular quarry expired, what they did, they came up with a nature trail. That particular nature trail right now is a major tourist attraction. The activity of mining is not something that should be left to an individual or to a company. This is something where the government, through the laws that are in place, should have a fast hand on not just dictating the environment and ambience of mining, but also the beneficiaries. To the small-scale miners, please, could you ensure that it is done in accordance with the law? It is very important that you look at this activity not as an activity just for today, but something that even your children or grandchildren are supposed to benefit from. So let us try and do that with sensitivity to the environment.
Sasa hii kazi nafanya miaka 45 ndio naendelea na hii kazi. Yaani nyumba kutoka mpaka chini mpaka juu. Hata kama ni ghorofa ngapi, ni mawe na simiti na mix na kagoto. Sijui kama kitu kingine kama ya kutumia kutubika nyumba kujenga, labda nielezwe ni nini na nini.
And for the last 10 years, I've been researching on bamboo as an alternative material for construction in Kenya and in Africa as a whole. We only need to do what we call bamboo engineering by just pressing the ordinary bamboo, and then you use glue, and then you can be able to laminate and be able to get bamboo floors. The other area where bamboo comes in, the same technology can be used actually to make bamboo panels. Panels can be used to construct the walls. So instead of using bricks or stones, you can use the same technology as panels. It has been used in Ethiopia, where most houses now are being constructed, or the partitioning is actually being done by the panels. It's cheaper in terms of labor, and it's faster, and it's durable.
Now, the small-scale mining industry in Kenya appears to lack a proper institutional framework, a situation that has to change if we are going to curb the massive degradation of environment and loss of life happening in places such as this. See you next week on Project Green.
Oh, sorry. Need to take, can I take it?
Kusha. Tosha na wewe basi.
Okay, it's ready. I will get the advantage of kila pig. One of